Well, this is more than a race, a challenge to oneself. Welcome to hell.
Who was your pick for this race?
Yeah.
I said Bos.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I said Lorena.
I said Pogačar.
Yeah.
Knight straight off the pave makes the move.
Gets very serious from now on.
Mats Pedersen can't follow. Has he got a rubber puncture front? Oh, nightmare.
Pogačar is down. He's going to be quickly up.
It was such an attacking race, the women's race, all day.
Oh, crash! Big crash on the inside. We have a sizable leading group in fight with Georgie right away back in. Emma Norsgaard going over the top here.
A third victory's in sight, but he just looked behind. And Mathieu van Aert's going to need a bite.
Oh, I forgot about this bit. I forgot. Looking back, he didn't even really signal. There was no flapping, just a few times looking over. Amazing.
Could be another twist. There might be another turn.
And it's 48 seconds now for Pauline Ferrand-Prévot. What a day, what a moment.
Look at the state of Mathieu van Aert. He's in a world of pain here.
Listen to the roar that erupts. 15 times world champion, now crowned the Queen of Roubaix.
Well, I read something, 10 years between road victories.
Yeah.
It's a hat trick in hell. Not only can he stand the heat, but Mathieu van Aert remains ice cold.
Oh, amazing.
I can't get over him. You've raced with him. I can't understand how he's that good on a one day. Like, if you put him in a Grand Tour, he's good, but not that good. Like, I always put him and Wout in the same bracket, but in a Tour, Wout's like a different league.
Yeah.
And I just can't understand how he's so good on a one day compared to a stage race.
How is he?
I don't know. I think it's probably what he's grown up always doing.
Yeah.
He's always focused for that one day, that one big day. But I don't know. It seems pretty incredible.
Like everything about him in a one day, though, I was saying it's like watching a professional stuntman at times. You know, his precision is mind blowing. That attention to detail and that margin for error is like nobody else.
The hardest bit with that is as well, you know, when you race with him, I've raced with him many years ago, but it's like the calmness about it. And you never really understand it until you race with him. It's if you follow him in the bunch, it's nothing special. It's when you start like following when it's going hard and then you're like, oh, he's so relaxed. It's just like when you sprint out of a corner and he's already sort of freewheeling on the wheel behind it, in front of him, and you're still trying to catch him up. And you never really think about it until after, and then you're like, how does he do this? Like, how is he so good and efficient like this? Because he's so flipping efficient.
It must have something to do with like doing all the disciplines when you're younger.
Yeah.
He's technically so strong when he rides the couples. There's always like half a meter in between him and the rider in front of him. Like he chooses his own lines. That's why he's never having a flat. Okay, he had one, but like it's the only one in 3 years, I think.
It's mad.
The only flat we had. Like
that's
he's
incredible.
technically so strong.
Yeah. But it's the belief, isn't it, that when something goes wrong, he stays calm.
Yeah.
Like we saw that a couple of years ago in Flanders. He crashed before the Quarem, right?
Yeah.
And then he still come back. And then he crashed in Flanders, got a bike change. There's no power meter, no Garmin. He just like, it is what it is.
He changed again as well.
Yeah, the belief just keeps going that like, I'll just come back and then I'll just create another opportunity.
Imagine,
you know,
that
like,
good.
well, that's the thing. You have to have
that
an
good.
enormous engine. To
Yeah.
start with, you know, like,
He wasn't that relaxed though with the flat tire in Roubaix.
No.
Like he was nervous then. Like
world champions behind you, but you know.
But still, to
Because
be
of that-
nervous and lose only 10 seconds of that entire
it
bike
is
change
crazy.
is phenomenal. What I also really liked about that, actually, not that I liked seeing Tadej Pogačar crashing, but I think showing a rider of his caliber having a few little wobbles, a few near misses, and then having that bad luck shows exactly how hard that race is, I think.
Definitely. I think when Mathieu, it's also because the race is not suited perfectly for today.
Yeah.
I think. When Mathieu attacked after the Bos of Valère, I think it was, then you saw today having such a hard time getting back to the wheel of Mathieu. It's one of those very few moments we see Pogačar struggling so much to get back in the wheel.
But that was like on a flat road, not even on cobbles, where he was struggling to get back on so much. And like we've done crosswind, we know how hard it is. But he looked like that's the hardest I've ever seen him try. And not just him as well, but Philipsen was on the back, Pedersen just on the wheel. But all of them just like...
Yeah.
But he
on
had
the
like
limit.
he mentioned afterwards that this is the hardest race he'd ever done.
Who said that?
Pogačar.
Did he?
And it's nice to know that because, like, you sort of see him win.
Yeah. Yes.
That's the thing. Like,
It is hard, Daddy.
Yeah, Paris-Roubaix, and you're like, okay, it is hard, but like he's done everything pretty much in cycling.
Yeah.
You know, and he's the one saying that, and you're going like, yeah, sweet. Like,
But that's why I think it was
nice to
actually
know.
quite important that he didn't win it on debut, because if he did, it would have made it look not Mickey Mouse, but it would have made it look, I think, a little bit too easy for him to come in and not be able to win it and say that's the hardest bike race he's ever done.
Yeah.
It sort of normalizes it a little bit, and it also shows just how difficult it is what Mathieu's been able to do 3 in a row. But what about Pauline in the women's race? Because I almost forgot that she crashed as well, didn't she?
She crashed the moment Kopecky went. It was, I think, I'm not sure which sector it was again, but they crashed before the sector, and then Kopecky went.
Yeah.
She went together with Bibus. She put all her effort in.
Cheeky little rascal.
Mathieu with a bidon as well, though. I mean, that was next level. Controversy, unacceptable.
it was horrible.
I was going to say fan. Can you call somebody like that a fan? I don't know. The spectator in question handed themselves into the police, has issued an apology through their...
Can you
He was
imagine?
forced, though. He was
Well,
forced
this is
to
it.
turn him in
Can
because
you
other people
imagine
would have done it.
like handing yourself in to a police station, being like, "I'm the bottle thrower." They'd be like, "What? I'm the bottle thrower." Sorry, say again. I threw a bottle.
Of course they're going to... Yeah, but so he said that he was drunk, that he didn't know what he was thinking. It was an impulse move. He just found the bidon on the ground and
he's not a
decided...
toddler.
But like,
you know, like he's not
But
that
imagine
impulse,
being
he's
drunk. But like, still, don't doing it right. Like, still, it was in the face of, like, it's quite hard.
I think
There was alcohol in the bottle.
No. I don't think there was alcohol in the bottle. There was alcohol in the spectator as he threw the bottle. But this is the classic thing with cycling. When I fell in love with this sport, like when I went to my first bike race, we were talking about this earlier, and I loved the proximity. You know, the fact that you've got this accessibility to the sport, it is completely unique. You can't take that away, but you cannot abuse that. But what's the way to police it other than peer pressure when you're at the side of the road looking around you, making sure that people are sort of self-regulating a little bit, as I think happened with this spectator. The guys around him, I think, rounded on him slightly, and then there wasn't much choice but to hand themselves in. But what do you do?
We've all had a drink, and we've all done something stupid with having a drink. But he's done...
Think for yourself, Adam.
No.
Different show.
Let's not go into that. But he's done something that is just on the extreme level of doing something stupid when he's had a drink. There's no excuse for it. But he's obviously under the influence, had a drink, and been like, I don't like that guy because he wins everything. I'm just going to throw that. And there's no excuse for it. But he's just... alcohol's taken over.
But this is it. There's either no excuse then, or there is an excuse. Alcohol's taken over. It is no excuse. He's thrown a full bidon in the face at 50 kilometres an hour that Mathieu said felt like a rock. I mean, the consequences of that could have been horrendous.
Oh, definitely.
I think it's actually getting out of hand because, like, it's not the first time this happened. Like, in the same race, he got beers thrown over him.
But
it has been happening. It has been happening in cycling for a while. It has been happening in cycling for a while. Like, you know, Ineos Sky days, there was a lot of, you know, Froomey.
Oh, that was horrendous.
You know,
back in
they
those
used
days,
to, in Group Pedo, Luke Roden used to hide in the middle so he wouldn't get stuff thrown on him. So it's been happening in cycling quite a while.
For how long it's been going, when a rider feels unsafe in a peloton, something needs to change.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he definitely felt unsafe with the bottle in his hand.
How do you, in a way, change that? Because that's the beautiful thing, as you mentioned, about cycling. It's so accessible. You have that, you know, no other sport you can be from me to you, from your favourite rider, you know? And I don't think we want to get rid of that.
No.
Because all of a sudden you've got barricades on every sector. You know, VIPs and spectators are further away, only watching on television. You know, it becomes Formula One situation.
Yeah,
but,
and
you
it's
know,
also financially impossible for race
impossible to do
organisers.
that. So, I mean, I don't know. It's just more about education of saying, like, you know, just don't come to the bike race. You're not a fan. I don't know. Like, it's really
Education, don't be a fool.
Yeah, don't be an idiot. Like, I don't know. Like, what do you do? You know, so.
I mean, Kat Ferguson was brought down in the women's race by a spectator stepping out into the road to take a picture. You know, it's camera phones get in the way as well.
And it's also ruining the sport when, like, Mathieu gets a bottle in his face or a rider crashes because of somebody's hand being in the way. And I know maybe it costs something, but an organization like the ASO, which cannot have the excuse of money, I think, they can put lines at parks,
All
you know,
the
like
way
they're
along the road,
like,
though.
No, but not the whole road, but on RWS or on sectors. They can put like, it's just like wires. It doesn't have to be like all fences.
Yeah,
It can't be too expensive.
Yeah.
Like people should go on those important moments. They should go a bit more to the side.
I mean, this idiot's still going to throw the ball anyway from a line or not. But like you're saying, it's I guess it is it's something, you know, that the riders might feel that the organisation.
Like Roubaix, though, I feel like it makes a race. Like if you had
the
spectators,
fans.
yeah,
I know this is it though.
Like
Yeah,
even
yeah,
if I was
yeah.
watching at home,
Yeah,
even
yeah,
not
yeah.
watching it, there is the worry as well of when we're watching it saying those fans are too close, those fans are too close. But it makes the race.
dramatic.
Yeah, but it makes the race. We're almost waiting for it to happen. There is a way around it, but we just don't know what it is.
No.
Yet.
Yeah.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah. Anyway, drama plenty as always. Paris-Roubaix.
Speaking of drama plenty as well, sorry. There was riders in the race that was knocked off by riders, staff in the race. Sylvain Dillier, did you see this? He was knocked off by a Visma mechanic.
Yeah.
No.
Visma had a bad day, didn't they?
Yeah.
Had a bottle in the face.
Yeah.
Knocked over Dillier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, jeez.
They ran fourth.
yeah.
It's not a great. I mean, they won the women's race, so to be fair. So
True, yeah.
Well, watching it actually was interesting because when you're in it, like I was in it last year, and then this year watching it at home, I was like obviously sad to not be there, but you actually get to see every single bad incident on the television, and it was like actually it was horrible.
Yeah.
Like because when you're
What
in
does
it,
it
it's only what you're seeing. So your situation is like I missed a car, I missed a spectator, I missed that crash, or I had that crash, you know. But like when you're on the TV, you're going, that guy's collarbone's done, that guy's collarbone's done, that guy crashed here, and it's just all. And you're sitting there going like, I was sitting there like, oh my God, my heart rate was higher than going to the first sector.
Were you watching
sweating.
it and realizing what we're talking about when we say this is a really dangerous sport? You're sitting at home and you're thinking,
It
do you know what it is actually?
It is. Yeah, this whole time I didn't know. You know? I'm still sitting here like this, you know, throwing Pulver. I had no idea.
No, I get it.
Yeah, right. It's my mum, you know, rings me, be safe today.
Mauro Gianetti is the man behind UAE Team Emirates-XRG, the man who has brought through potentially the greatest rider of all time and has been busy building the latest super team of the world's best cyclists, winning everything in front of them last season and starting this year pretty much the same. We caught up with him and started by asking how his love affair with cycling began.
It was 1976, and I don't know existing bike races. I know from, you know, sometime listen the name Eddy Merckx, but I was thinking that at that time bike races it was just for the adult. And it was a Wednesday afternoon. We are at home by school, and I was riding the bike, Graziella, the bike of my mother. And I crossed the bus driver that he was bringing us to the school down on the small village and the end of the valley. We make a small race, 3.5 kilometer incline, and I beat
Too big for me.
So I will thank him all my life to him because at the top of the mountain I was there. I say, hey, it's around 2 minutes I'm here. He was watching at me. That is not possible, and then he straight. On the bike, he go to my father, he say, okay, here is, you have the bike, this guy need to do cycling. So it was Wednesday, and then Saturday I started with my first race. We started 90 people and I took 5 places.
What?
And I say, wow, this is nice, this is my sport. Maybe in that moment I decided that my life will be a cyclist. You know, I completely shocked in love with bicycle, and then in the next weeks I again race, and I was good, I was winning race, and I was feeling so happy when I was on the bike, when I can ride my bike, and also because being born in a very, very small village in the middle of the Swiss mountain, you know, the perception of the world, it was making me scared, no? Because I say, hey, I'm a Montanaro, we say, you know, a man born in the mountain. And then when I was watching the world, it seems to me so big. It was making me so scared. And being good in cycling, it gave me so much confidence. For me, it was clear after my career as a rider, okay, I will be manager of a team. And I started immediately the day after Lombardia to be manager of the team for the next, for the year after. So it was a clear passage, and for me it was important to know the need of the rider all the riders in our team, but not only, they have a goal to win a race. Otherwise, they will not be here. They will not be professional if they have not this goal, and also the talent. Our job in the team is to help all riders to achieve their goal, and to also
the goal being
transmit the passion that we have.
It used to be, but now the whole team wins too.
Yeah, true.
Machine, because we are a team, we are a group with a lot of passion. At the same time, we use this passion in professionality, in being serious, making everything what we can do to do better, the material, the product, the wheels, the tire, the clothing, the helmet, the nutrition, the training system, everything need to be set up on the best way as possible. We learn, we have a lot of engineering, but in the bike is a person. We need to talk and think a lot to the human being. We have signed so many young talent, especially one, I don't know if you know the name, Tadej Pogačar.
Pogačar's on the move, look at this.
But it's incredible, I think, now that they have a world-beating team, not just a world-beating rider, you know?
You know, he helped a lot, all this Tadej in first, but all the other, you know, Almeida, it was also Hirschi, McNulty, Mikel Bierk, Ayuso, and now with Pablo Torres. So we invested a lot in the young at the beginning because we wanted to create our team. At that time, the idea was not to just buy some big palmarès and big salary. We have to say, okay, we take our time, we start with talent, good talent, and we take the time is needed to take to arrive at this result, but we create our team. And now in this team is our soul, because all these riders, they have give their soul to the team. I want everybody wake up in the morning with a smile, rider, staff, everybody in our team. We are 150 people just working with smile. If we win, happy. If we don't win, okay, next day we try again another time. The most important is to be sure that you have done 100%. You train perfectly? Yes. You have your nutrition plan correctly follow it? Yes. You have the best tire? Yes. You have the best helmet? Yes. You have everything. When everything is done, you just need to accept the result.
If you chase your dreams, you can catch them.
When we start with the team, the budget was very normal budget, and year by year, with result, with another step, I was able to achieve also another increase in the budget. Then other result, better result, another increase. So where we are now is just grow up. Before showing good result, sport result, image, increase of the use of the bicycle in the UAE. Our team is not a team for 2-3 years. Our team is an existing team. It's a little bit like a football team. It will be always existing, and it gives us also the possibility to invest in long term, but also the obligation to really invest in long term. This is why our focus in the younger generation is so important.
That's really, really interesting though, isn't it? And that's what is so important in cycling. I love that analogy with football teams, because that's what we're really lacking, is those franchises, almost those sort of like historical clubs that have existed since time immemorial, with fans who've grown up supporting that team. And with cycling, we have so many different sponsor changes and team changes and teams that disappear. We don't have that longevity.
I'd be really surprised though. See, within cycling, you support a team, but you mainly support a team because of riders in the team. Yeah. If Tadej moved teams, how much support would they get within that team?
Well,
Tadej would carry on.
Messi signing with.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah. But the team still exists. I imagine if Tadej left, how long would that team keep going for? Because I can't imagine it's like a football club where they just keep going and going and going for eternity.
I guess it depends on what the focus is of the, you know, where that money's coming from and what they're trying to achieve with that and what kind of change they're trying to bring about. So Tadej is the figurehead for that, but if they're trying to do something else within cycling, or if UAE as a country, you know, are trying to represent themselves on an international stage, then that objective continues, I guess. But it's much easier when you've got Tadej Pogačar winning the Tour de France, you know.
But I also think, like, when, for example, there is always a big group of Italians in UAE. There's always this Italian, the country, who supports the team. For example, when Visma would be like, well, that's a Dutch team. If there's just always
but even
Dutch
if Visma
riders
are actually Scandinavian.
Yeah,
but
it
the
is.
team is
It's Dutch image.
Yeah.
When there's Dutch people in, then you support Visma. So you can support a team, I think. You just have to, you know where to focus on. Like, what's your group of people you want
drill
to
down
support
into that
you.
national identity. That's why I felt Jumbo as a team sponsor was so clever and so strong. Obviously, because I live in the Netherlands, I see it all the time. But when I moved to the Netherlands, I deliberately shopped in Jumbo, the supermarket, because they supported cycling. That was my then that as well. And I had an affinity with the team because I did my shopping in Jumbo, and it was like my friend's daughter. She was obsessed with the team because she thought that the speed skaters and the cyclists worked in the supermarket during the week and then they competed on the weekend. But because of that, then she was there cheering them on, and you know, Marianne Vos is her favourite rider.
And that's just scanning your
Okay, here's a question.
2 for 1.
I mean, you can't answer this because you've been in the team, and if you stop, you'll always support Jayco for sure.
Sure.
Which team do you support?
For that reason, probably Jumbo, as they were, Visma Leasebike, because I had that affinity with them when I moved to the Netherlands. So, yeah, probably Visma Leasebike.
I think it's the same for me, but it's same with, I think, Quickstep for me. It's a Belgium team, which is very close, like, to the Netherlands. So it would be those teams that, like, I would always support.
I think the king is revoking your passport yet. You're not allowed to be Dutch anymore.
What did I say?
What UAE have been really good at, and Gianetti said it there in the interview, getting young riders.
Yeah.
They're getting, like Isaac Del Toro, they got him early before he signed with anyone.
Still money though.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah,
Long contracts and money. That's what interesting.
Long
what they're doing.
contracts.
You know, we're going to do 5 years, and you know, it locks them away and gives them, you know, confidence that they.
You'll not even know now. What's like a good? What will Del Toro be on?
I would say.
No, but it's true.
I actually don't.
Crazy.
I would say there would be more than half UAE, probably over $1 million in Europe.
Really? Wow.
Like, could be 10 riders. Jeez. I don't know this. I'm not a manager, but I just, you know.
Yeah, there's at least 5 riders that are over.
This is where Adam thinks himself, what age am I now? How much would it take to get back to winning ways again?
Oh, well, 50 years. Minimum. On no chance.
But I don't think it's only money.
No.
I think it's like what Gianetti said as well. Like, he was so, like, living, like, for it, like the same way today does. I think it's passion.
Yeah.
And when that atmosphere is in the team, when there's people around having that passion, like that passion, everybody, like, gets in that energy, I think. When you're in a team, I think with Ineos, maybe like the team was staying the same for too long. The energy went out last year. This year it's better again, but...
Yeah, but there's a real contrast as well, I think, to when Ineos as Team Sky were doing really well. That was not their raison d'etre in the morning to wake up with a smile in your face. Their entire ethos was win. Marginal gains. So everything as professionally as possible. Their objective was to win and nothing else. So even if obviously UAE's objective is that, to say that actually we want everybody to enjoy this process, that to me is much more sustainable actually in the long term. To enjoy the winning, because otherwise if you're suffering to win, when the win goes, there's nothing to back it up.
No, definitely.
But you've got to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like, without enjoying it, it just becomes rubbish. Like, no matter what you're doing, even if you're winning and you're not enjoying it, you'll still enjoy the win, but it'll eventually start to crack you for sure.
It is about the culture, and you and that sustains, like, success and not success. So if you have a bad period, then you can come out the other side and continue that.
Exactly.
That positivity, that culture. Like, we've had ups and downs throughout our team, but, like, we've always had that, you know, we really rely on each other. We go into battle for each other as mates, and we have that culture there. And I think that's interesting that we continue that. And we might not be having a great season this year, but, like, you know, next year, because we have that ethos, the culture continues on. And if that's what they're starting with there, I think UAE is going to be around for a long time.
Let's hope so.
I think it's the same with, like, today being able to race Paris-Roubaix. Like, there has been a lot of discussion. Should he do it? Maybe he crashes and he cannot ride a Tour de France. But he's so passionate. He wants to ride it, and they let him do it.
They let him do it.
That's actually a really good point.
And I like that because they want to keep him happy.
They want to keep him happy. They know he keeps winning when he's happy.
But there would have been a private meeting, you know, Tadej and then Tadej's outside the bus, and then everyone is like, all right, guys, tomorrow, just make sure Tadej doesn't crash.
Yeah. As if it's as
Paul
easy as
like
that.
jumping
Riding around him with like foam barriers.
Vermeesh is just trying to like.
He's so ambitious himself. He don't need we push him to win, you know. And then sometimes we say, okay, now is relax. You know, I think nobody was thinking that today it could be what is today. Everybody know, not only us, that today it was a great talent. It will be an incredible good rider. But talking now, I think even himself, he could not dream so big or have this big goal. He's a great champion. But he's a person again, with his sensibility, with his mind, with his style of life, and it is very important for us. It's a big responsibility to keep the good balance, not to support him to have the best image, but at the same time, is now so much popular that it becomes quasi difficult to manage the situation, because in his character is not the character to be in middle of the public every day, and so this is a big responsibility to help him to manage this situation, to continue to grow as a rider, as a personality in the world, not just in sport.
That's really interesting, isn't it?
It's really good.
Isn't it? Like a really human, holistic approach to a rider as a person, and not just an athlete.
Rider in the world again.
Cycling is growing very well. I think the level of cycling is not reached yet. I think we can get a lot more investment in cycling and get a lot more also to the fan of cycling, because the value of cycling for me is a lot bigger compared to the sponsor that we have in that moment in cycling. We need to work all together like we are doing with all the team, because for us, you know, it's so important to have team like Ineos, Visma, Lidl, Bora. They are working, they invest a lot of money, and they are, you know, fighting to be better. And this is important for us also, because keep the position, it become complicated. And I think it's now time that we should have more clear identification in different category, no? Because now the World Tour team are racing sometime with the Pro Continental, and with Continental team we are making competition between 3 different category and in 3 different category of race also. I think it's now time, exactly if we want to have more clear image, to have more investment, is to have a clear World Tour or the best level with the best team in the world. They compete most as possible together to give consequence in the result. We see the effect have now today, racing Milan-San Remo, racing Paris-Roubaix, racing Tour of Flanders. It attracts the public and the passion, and similar will come also sponsor. But it should be also during the Giro, the Tour, all the race, to have more competition between the best rider always, and to have a better and stronger first category, and at the same time a second division very much stronger than now, because now is not real identified, because sometimes is mixed by the public or not the real fan, that if it's second or third division is not clear so much for me. I am concentrated in what I am doing with the team. If someone asks me a suggestion, I am happy, but I don't like to be a teacher and to say to anybody what they need to do in their home. So of course, no, it's a responsibility, and for me now the most important is that our team gives the best image as possible. I cannot change the rule. I cannot teach no one. I will not teach nobody. I just want to be a nice example for the people who like watch cycling.
Tadej Pogačar!
My big goal is to make this team loved by the public, loved by the sponsor, and of course by the internal member and staff. It's what we can do, what I can do now to lead this. I will not go to teach nobody. I'm not myself to change the rule, but at least it's important for me to do the best as possible. Just be remembered like a nice person with a lot of passion of cycling. But in fact, I think the responsibility is also to leave something important in cycling. All the innovation, the change as a cycling team in international company, all the technology, the artificial intelligence that we are bringing in cycling, all this kind of innovation, I think it would be nice to let like a nice legacy for the future. As I tell you, when I ride first time in my life a race bike, I loved the sport, and after a few years I already decided I will be manager of a team, so I am where I would like to be.
I do think that is so important what he's saying, and that's, I mean, we still don't know very much, I would say, about One Cycling and what the plan is going to be and whether it's going to happen or not, but that seems to be a really key part of it, is bringing together the top riders in the world across the course of the season, where you've got them all competing at Paris-Roubaix, at Flanders, as well as the Grand Tours. So they're not all just rocking up to the Tour de France, but they're competing across the Grand Tours as well. Yeah, it would be a different calendar. So it would take the buy-in from the race organisers. But the thing is, it's really hard. Have you ever tried to explain cycling, professional cycling, and the calendar to one of your friends or family who's not into it?
You've got the Tour de France, work everything back from that, apart from the classics.
But apart from the classics, and what are the monuments? And what do you mean they're only competing against each other really at the Tour de France? Why don't we see them competing throughout the course of the season? I mean, I've done a few seasons in MotoGP, and it is so easy to understand what that sport is, and every rider rocks up from one circuit to the next, and there's jeopardy every single time, and it's the best riders in the world against each other. If we don't have that in cycling, I can't see how it moves forward and how it survives our tiny attention spans that we have in 2025.
I love the idea of this, but everything, if it's a separate races and the organisers don't buy in, and even if they do buy in, you can have the best team in the world, UAE, but is Tadej going to race Roubaix every year? They almost need to, One Cycling needs to come along and give the riders contracts. And say you must do these races. Because if they don't, Jonas isn't going to do the flipping Tour of Flanders. He's not going to do Paris-Roubaix. Remco isn't. So it's kind of like, even though you've got this amazing calendar saying you're going to have the amazing bike riders, there's one race that matters, and it's the Tour.
But something has to change, and it has to change. I don't think cycling can keep sleepwalking into future generations, assuming that the current cycling fans are going to keep giving birth to future cycling fans, unless they live in the heartlands like Belgium or Northern France or the Netherlands. But beyond that, we're in an increasingly globalized world. We are in an increasingly condensed attention span, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon, sadly. And I do think that something has to happen for cycling to secure its place in the landscape of the sporting future, which we all believe it should have. But it has to change.
It's so hard to know what that answer is. There's a million things that you can change in cycling, but if you took the Tour de France out, that would completely change everything. I think
you
if you
can't get rid of
didn't,
the Tour de France.
that's what I mean, then how do you compete with it? Doesn't matter, One Cycling coming in, whatever it is, there's one race in the year which all the sponsors not rely on, but invest in.
Yeah, but that's why One Cycling needs the backing of UCI and or ASO. It's not going to get ASO, so it needs the UCI on board with it so that it can live in coexistence with the Tour de France. It can't exist without it.
Hey, write a big enough check and they'll be signing that paper.
Not many other sports have to deal with about 500 pros either.
That's
about
true.
500 people to deal with, and that's huge.
There's too many of you, Luke.
Well, I'm starting to sweat like, let's give rider contracts. And me like, well,
Me too.
We really dug ourselves a
but
whole
back to the point here. I would say when Tadej signed, he then, like, what happened to UAE from that, and I would say it was quite interesting of like what they did from there. So obviously Tadej came on, and we wouldn't expect him to win his first Tour de France, but then from that was like, okay, well, we accessed a lot more of a budget because now we won the Tour de France. We want to be the best team in the world, which then we could then buy more riders and better riders, and then now UAE is at the point where they actually have like 10 guys. Literally insane. But like, it's almost a Tadej effect, and same with Colnago. Like, I would say to in an extent that bike brand was potentially going down, and then Sky did the same to Pinarello. You know, like it was a classic Italian bike brand, pretty much just sold by the name, but didn't actually go into the high tech of it. And now Colnago is one of the best bikes because Tadej rides it, and it just like flows on that effect.
Success breeds success in all areas.
Exactly. So, I mean, they were lucky to get Tadej, but then from that, I would say they've been quite good to successfully continue to do that, rather than just rely on Tadej. They don't rely on Tadej. They do, yes, for sure, but they still win every other race.
This is the thing with it. That's the crazy thing. It's not. We always say it's just Tadej. they win so much.
So
like even the
much,
race that Tadej wasn't in at the start of the year, they were still winning on the podium, second or
Like
third.
19 wins, I think, before Tadej did his first one or something. You know, it was
So we've had the couple classics, they're all done now. We move on to the Ardennes. So Amstel is your favourite?
I just think like Liège is good, but it's just like a little bit, it's just a wearing down process rather than like a real aggressive race. Amstel all comes together almost within that last like 20k, and that's what I love about it. Flesh, just put 600 metres on it, because that's all it is really. It's just a race up the Muur, and that's it. I love it.
So difficult.
It's so hard. I find it hard to watch. Like I get out of, my legs hurt watching Flesh.
It is.
You know?
I've been doing it, and it's a terrible race.
Is Anna van der Breggen going to win it again?
Ooh, like her race is actually Flesh. That's the race for Anna. Like she won it, I think, 7 times. I wonder now when she comes back if she can directly beat Vollering on the Muur.
Well, what do you think?
I think she rides so easily on the Muur. I give her a big chance to win.
Yeah, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
If she does it 8 times, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
That would be 8 consecutive for her, wouldn't it? Because she won it on her last attempt. So it'd be winning it 8 times asking in a row.
That's the trick. Just ride the race you're going to win and never ride it again.
Until you can win it again. Adam, you had a theory heading into Ardennes off the back of what we saw at the Cobble Classics. You had a theory about Wout.
Yeah, it's not, I don't know, it's, for me, he's like a little outsider, you know, like, I don't know, he just doesn't seem to have the friends that he needs within the peloton. Like, he's respected, but for me, he's not got like that camaraderie with the other riders that you almost need in a kind of way. It's like, I don't know, from my experience of bike racing, if you're in a break, which granted I wasn't in that many breakaways, but the ones that I were in coming into the finish, you'd be able to chat to other riders, you'd be able to talk to them. And watching like Roubaix, Flanders, Mathieu would talk, Mads would talk, Tadej would talk, but they'd all talk together, and then you'd have Wout on the side of that. And I just think those little chats, they might be something simple of let's kick it over the top of Koppenberg, whatever it is. Wout's not involved with that. And if you're seeing that chat happen, you're like, what are they talking about? They're ganging up on me sort of thing. So I can, just from my side of things, I'd like to see him as, it sounds a ridiculous way to put it, more the lads sort of thing within it a little bit more. I almost feel like they're more against him than they are wanting to ride with him to get the benefit.
What do you think, Luke? Because you're obviously in the peloton.
I think it's potentially maybe a Visma thing as well. Like it's like this, we've got our own crew. Yeah. And actually when they do, they do. Like what they did in Dwysdorp London, I know they lost.
Yeah.
Let's not go there.
What they did, like they can destroy a peloton. So they really had this like, we've got each other. We don't need anyone else.
Yeah, like a siege mentality.
Yeah, and then so they got the Tish Benoot, you got your Jorgensen, you got your Van Aert. These boys are like, we don't need no one else because we've got 3 of the strongest guys here. And then those other guys are like, well, let's work to the common goal to get rid of everyone else, like old Tadej or whatever. They don't have teammates, and then they race each other. I don't know, like they're sort of like they go and then they sort of get in Mads and they all get together. There's like 3 of them away, and they still like. The biggest thing is they straight away chop off, which is like amazing. They're literally just all like, we're here to win this race. Let's establish the win, and then we'll work out who's going to win.
Yeah, I find it's incredible.
It's incredible to do that, because I would say straight away you'd be like, nah, Tadej's here. I'm sitting on.
Dude, like straight away. This is what I don't understand about it.
No, and
I think Van Aert is, I don't think he's on the out. I just think that potentially he's just got his own crew.
Don't you think like Van Aert and Van der Poel, they've been like rivals since like they were kids. And then Mathieu is a very social person, being good with Tadej, being good with Mats. Like he prefers them to win instead of Wout.
See,
and the other guys prefer Mathieu because he's so social. They prefer him instead of Wout. They're not against Wout. They just prefer each other. I think it's what we saw in Flanders.
It's like playground stuff, if that's true. But I guess as well, that's why it develops in playgrounds, because it speaks to our innate human nature. You know, we are tribal as people. We make connections as human beings that are quite natural to make. And so even, you know, they're not machines. They're not robots. Their emotions maybe do come into it. And friendships maybe affect the level of respect that you have for someone, because they obviously respect each other as competitors. But I do wonder whether your affinity for one certain person would make you slightly favour a race outcome that will work in their benefit, even if you can't win it.
It's like there's like 3 brothers, you know, and there's Van Aert, Van der Poel, and Tadej, and you know, there's 2 brothers just ganging up on one.
Yeah.
You know, when they get out there, I even find it amazing with Tadej and Van der Poel. They literally are mates, but then they're beating each other up. But then afterwards, it's just like, bro, we're family. You know, it's just wild to see that.
Which I always find with them two, it's not a tactical thing ever with them two. It's just the strongest man can win.
Yeah.
Completely. And I think the Wout thing, I think he has to win tactically now, rather than just the strongest man win because he's not there. And I think the other two will ride him out of it on the legs like they did in Flanders a little bit, rather than work with him and use him a little bit. They'd rather see him almost be dropped because he can't keep up and them two fight out in a weird way.
And it's also like safe for, I think, Mathieu and Tadej to just ride as fast as they can. And then you say, okay, like this monument is for me, this one is for you. Like they divided between the two. Like they don't talk to each other before.
And wins.
And they're just have this like gentleman's agreement without saying it. Like we just ride as fast as we can, and one of us two will win.
Yeah. But I do wonder, you know, Wout is on a comeback. Really, he had that horrific crash at Dwars and then he had his knee issues at the Vuelta. So he had a terrible year by his own admission, and I do wonder if he was strong enough to stay with them, how that would change things in any way. You know, then they can't gang up to ride him off the wheel if he can stay with them, you know?
But that's the thing, they still can gang up on him. That's when tactics come a part of it. And I think, like, detriment to Wout, he always does way too much. In my opinion, he always does way too much to try and get that victory. He'll always do a little bit more than the other rider. Like, look at Flanders coming into the finish. Van der Poel did less work than those four chasing Tadej. And that's because he's a bit knackered and he's willing to just be like, right, it's done, sod it. Whereas Wout,
Isn't it why we love them though as well?
But there's an element of desperation. Walt needed the
Yeah.
Like, I really felt like he was so close. He was fourth, and like I wanted for him too. You know, like and I think it's like that desperation when things are flowing.
Yeah,
you can. It's your guys' race to win. It's not mine to lose. You know, and you had that like carefree attitude. But when Walt was like, he's had the Dwars door of under and mess up Palace. He had the fourth. It's like that just builds and builds and builds. You know, and it's just like it's very hard to see. So like you hopefully it goes through because I think the more big players we have,
the better the racing.
You know,
absolutely.
Think about Mads Pedersen's classic season.
It was incredible.
Incredible, and we can have him more and more there. Then it's just so good for the sport.
Don't get me wrong, I want Wout to win.
Yeah.
Like I love him to bits. I think he's amazing. I think he's one of the best bike riders that's ever lived. But I just feel like he's always chasing. Rather than being confident. You know, it's only like the Vuelta and the Tour de France where you see him at that a few years ago with the ultimate confidence. The last couple of years, you've not seen that side of Wout. Well, I haven't seen that side of Wout where you see him.
Maybe like in races like Roubaix, like when he's very comfortable on the cobbles. But when he had the flat tire with Mathieu, he actually looked really well.
I bet that 2 years ago, I was convinced he was going to win it. The thing is, though, so he hasn't had a win then since the Vuelta last year. I know, and yet we're still talking about him all the time. I mean, that's a sign of his stature as a rider, though, isn't it? And that every neutral fan is willing him on for his next win.
So he was flowing in the Vuelta. Like he was winning stage. And everything was happening after his crash, and it was really looking like, he's back now. No problem. And then bang, another massive crash, huge rebuild. And these rebuilds, they just take time out. They mentally take it out. You know, like Remco, will be interesting to see how he comes back.
True.
These rebuilds, they really are tough, and I think he's obviously getting back into the flow of scenes, but it doesn't happen overnight.
Dude, I take a career of being second in Dwarsdorf, fourth in Flanders, fourth in Roubaix.
Without all the wins that came before.
Without a comeback. Do you know what I mean? That's how incredible.
A lot of people fall that off for me.
Oh, man. All day long I've had that.
Anyway, this has been nice, hasn't it? Getting out of the studio.
So nice.
Getting some cake.
Nice. It's delicious.
I've enjoyed the cake, although I'm on the regime at the minute, so it's not been that helpful.
Oh, well done and sticking to the regime, Adam. These cakes have been absolutely destroyed.
I know, they're going to be destroyed.
I think that millionaire shortbread is mostly in your tummy.
Yeah, it is. I can't even deny it, but it's been nice. I've loved it.
Shall we come back next week and do it again?
100%. 100%. You're around this time, though.
All right.